So I know I did one of these fairly recently, but I ate a lot of things that I really haven't eaten before, I guess. Yeah, like several things that I hadn't eaten before, or things that I haven't really like shown, I guess, in a video. I don't know. I thought it might be interesting. Anyway, I started with not something sweet, which is usually what I have for breakfast. I think that's what most people have for breakfast, at least like in the US. Instead, I had leftovers from the night before. I had tortilla soup and a chipotle lentil burger with guacamole on top and some more tortilla chips. And both of the recipes, the tortilla soup and the Chipotle lentil burger, are from one of Isa's books, the Appetite for Reduction book. It's really good if you are looking to eat lower calorie meals. It's all vegan, of course. If you're looking to eat lower calorie meals, or if you're looking to eat less fat, or if you like to eat less fat, it's a really good book because it's not like 80-10-10 or McDougall or some of that stuff where it's just really, really, really low fat. Like virtually every recipe in the book has some amount of fat in it. She doesn't just cook everything in water. Like she actually uses small amounts of oil, right? But instead of like a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons, she uses like a couple of teaspoons, right? And it's got some of my favorite recipes. The Caesar dressing in it is delicious. It's like my favorite salad dressing recipe. I remember I ate it every day with cauliflower and bulgur and something else I can't remember, and I would put the dressing like all over it. And I remember eating that for lunch like every day, and I was watching Flight of the Conchords. Like I can picture this so clearly. Have lunch, watch Flight of the Conchords on this tiny kitchen, or tiny TV that we had in the kitchen, like terrible quality. And yeah, good times. Sorry if you hear a little bit of like breathing or sliding around. That's my toddler. They're hanging out with me today while I record, which is interesting, right? Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, both the soup and the burger are from that book. I really like both of them. The burger is definitely a veggie burger, right? Like no one's going to think that, oh, this is meat, right? It's not supposed to be. It's lentils. Yeah, it's got the chipotle and adobo in it, so it's fairly spicy. I used a little bit less than she did, just in case, you know. And cilantro, I think. Oh, it's got some zucchini in it too. Like you saute some onion and zucchini, I think a couple other things, garlic, and then put it in the food processor with everything else. Now, I have like the worst food processor on the planet because I was cheap and bought one of those like $15 ones. And of course, it's the worst thing ever. Whatever is on the bottom is not getting chopped up, like period. And it's impossible if you have like, you know, if you're filled to the max, which I usually am because it's not a big container, you know, it's impossible to like get down in there and get whatever is under the blades. So of course, by the time I was done, there were still like huge chunks of zucchini. Needless to say, I did order a better food processor finally. Yeah, so the burger is good. She did call for, I think like, you know, pan frying it and just like a little bit of oil. I wasn't sure if it was really gonna hold together because it was fairly wet, so I just put them in the oven and baked them. And just put some guacamole on top because we didn't have buns or anything, and I don't know, I didn't want, like, it was already fairly high calorie. Well, it's high calorie because I added a bunch of guacamole to it. I just wanted guacamole. We had avocados and fresh guacamole. Man, I like the pre-made, like, packaged stuff because it's convenient, you know, and it's nice to just have whenever I want a burrito or something, but you can't eat that stuff with chips. I don't think anyway. It's just not, it is not anywhere close to fresh guacamole. And then, like I said, I had some tortilla chips on top of the soup and then extra tortilla chips because, like, how can you not? I don't often eat Mexican style stuff, honestly. I used to all the time, but at some point, I don't know, I'm just not big on the flavor profile of a lot of stuff, just all the cumin and chili powder and that sort of thing. But all of a sudden I really wanted tortilla soup because I used to eat it constantly. I think I ate it at, I want to say either TGI Fridays or Chili's I would go to and get the tortilla soup like constantly before I was vegan, which I'm sure is like the worst tortilla soup ever. Oh, I was going to say you definitely need the chips like with this whole meal because otherwise everything's pretty soft, right? The soup is soft, the burger is soft, right? Especially baked, and like I took it out of the fridge so it like loses any crispiness that it had, right? And the guacamole. So you really need like the chips or something like it to give it some sort of texture. But it was really good and really, really filling. I'm trying to do that where I have more savory stuff for breakfast because it's just a lot easier to have more filling, like protein stuff. Otherwise it's like it's oatmeal, which just doesn't, even if I put peanut butter in it, it's just not that many calories or not that much protein. It's just not, I don't know, it's not that filling for me, honestly. Or a smoothie where I can put tons of protein powder. And yeah, that's filling, but I don't want a smoothie every day. I just don't, especially during the winter. Ugh. So I'm trying to eat more savory stuff. I can do it. It's like once I start eating, it's like, oh, this is good. But it's like getting there, Even when I put everything together, the soup and everything, it's like, can I do this? Like, this is weird. And then as soon as I started eating, it's like, oh, this is good. Now, of course, this morning I had sweet shit. I had a muffin, banana nut, whole wheat muffin, and strawberries. Like that was my breakfast. So good job. Super filling. Anyway, I had for lunch, I had just some bread with a peanut butter sandwich. I don't know why I worded it that way. Just a peanut butter sandwich and some baby carrots and some hummus, some homemade hummus. This is like guacamole, it's so much better than the store-bought, I find, but I can eat the store-bought guacamole. I can't eat most store-bought hummus. I just find it, like Sabra hummus is nasty to me. It's so tart. It's so, like, not fresh lemony, but like, that kind of processed tart thing. Like, it's awful. I hate it so much. The only one that I can actually eat is the Trader Joe's. The Trader Joe's hummus is okay, but the stuff I make is so much better. The texture's so much better. It takes like 2 seconds. I just put everything in the blender. It's literally, it's 1 can of chickpeas, garlic clove, I think 2 tablespoons of oil. I use canola oil because I don't like the taste of like raw olive oil. It's just, I don't know, it has a weird taste to me. I like it when it's cooked, it's fine, but like fresh, it's kind of weird. A little bit of water, tahini, obviously. I think it's a 1/4 cup of tahini and a 1/4 cup of lemon juice and some salt, like a teaspoon of salt probably, and just put it in the blender. You need to have a Vitamix with a tamper or some other like high-end blender like that to use a blender. But again, my food processor is so terrible. I cannot make hummus in that thing. There will be so many like whole, chickpeas in it. It's absolutely useless. So I just use the blender, and I'll usually make 1 batch and then make another batch because you can't make 2 batches in it. It will just totally overheat the motor. So that was very yummy and filling. Lots of fat. Oh my God, so much fat. A little bit of protein. I know people consider hummus a protein source, but with the amount of fat in it, it's really not a great protein source. Like, you're not going to eat a whole lot of it at one time. You're only going to get a few grams, right? It's pretty high calorie. So unless you're making like a low calorie version, I think there is a low calorie version in Appetite for Reduction. She also has a low-calorie guacamole that has edamame in it, which is a pretty good idea. I'm sure it's not nearly as good as regular guacamole, but it sounds pretty good. Like, edamame is yummy, and you're getting, an extra protein boost, so I might try that. So then for a snack at some point, I had this very pretty smoothie. It's just banana and wild frozen blueberries and some orange juice, some hemp seeds, some pea protein, and some soy milk. Oh, and well, I have spinach listed on here, but I definitely didn't put spinach in it. I definitely forgot to put spinach in it because the color is really pretty. The spinach would make it look like gross. Very, very yummy. Lots of fruit, lots of vitamin C and omega-3s from the hemp seeds, and protein, obviously, from the protein powder and the soy milk. It's a nice little snack. And then for dinner, I had another recipe from Appetite for Reduction. This is just a whole video on why you should buy this book, because there's lots of yummy stuff. Actually, I wasn't a huge fan of this, but I did make some changes. First off, I added chickpeas just to add some protein in. And second, I did not have dry white wine. We actually don't ever have alcohol, so I always have to substitute that in recipes. So I did end up substituting some vinegar and obviously using less than the recipe called for, but it was still just too vinegary for me. So yeah, I'm sure it's a lot better if you follow the recipe as written. Or yeah, if you're gonna sub, apple cider vinegar or whatever, to definitely use, I guess, less than I did. I think I did a 50-50 like vinegar water thing, but it was definitely still too much, at least for me. And, this is like a very traditionally, like very, very oily recipe, delicious, oily, garlicky recipe. And so obviously she's trying to make it less oily, but still delicious. And I just don't think you can do that. You can cut the oil a little bit, but it's still going to be a lot of calories and a lot of fat. I don't think you can use as little as she did. I actually went and added like a little bit more olive oil just so it has that mouthfeel. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't think this is a recipe that you can make low fat. It's like not the same recipe and it's just not good. And that has nothing to do with the vinegar issue. Again, it's just the whole like lack of fat. You need a lot of fat for this. It's a very simple recipe. The oil is like doing so much. It's olive oil and garlic and salt. And if you take out one of those, so yeah, I ate it. It wasn't terrible or anything, but definitely not my favorite. And that was already a lot of calories for the day, but I still felt hungry like at night, which is a problem for me. But usually at night, like I am full, but I just want something. I just want to eat something. And so I end up eating something. But I actually felt like I'm still hungry. So I made just some chocolate banana ice cream, what do they call it? Nice cream, whatever. Just a frozen banana and some cocoa powder. I think I put a little bit of peanut butter in it too, because that really helps with the texture. And some chocolate chips so that it actually feels like dessert instead of just a smoothie in a bowl. So that's it for food. Pretty good day. Lots of protein, I think. People always ask what I use for the nutrition thing. Like a nutrition tracker, right? A nutrient tracker. I use Chronometer. That's the one I've used like for years. The user interface is great. I think it's really easy to just get in and start using, but there's also a lot of features, right? You can add your own foods and recipes pretty easily. I've got recipes like from when I was eating like raw, like full on raw foods. It's pretty funny. So I've been using this for a long, long time. And I think the paid version, they've got a bunch of, I want to say they now have a thing where only for the paid, which I don't have, I have the free, but it will tell you like, hey, you're low on this kind of nutrient or whatever. Why don't you eat this food, right? Like, here's a food. So like, hey, you haven't eaten very much vitamin C today. Why don't you have some strawberries or whatever? So that's pretty cool. I haven't actually used that, but, and I think they do, like, you can say that you're vegan. So it's not like they're going to be like, hey, you need more protein. How about some eggs, right? That would really suck, actually. But I'm pretty sure you can say, hey, I'm vegan. Don't suggest meat to me, please. And this isn't something I use every day, just to be clear. I think I've said before, like if I'm trying to get my diet back on track, I typically will use it just to see like what I've been doing and how I'm eating. And also when I do what I ate today's, I like to do it just to kind of see what I did for the day, if it was good in terms of calories. This was definitely more calories than I try to eat. It was over 2,000 calories, which I try to stay 2,000 or under. But, if I'm really that hungry, I'm not going to deprive myself. I'm just not going to do that. That sucks. And what happens is, like, when I'm actually hungry like that, I wake up at like 4 a.m. and I can't go back to sleep because I'm so hungry, which is just terrible. So yeah, just knowing myself well enough, I need to eat something. I probably could have had less calories than that, but you live and you learn. Anyway, 80 grams of protein, so that's pretty good. And I met my needs for pretty much everything. It's a little bit low on zinc and iron and vitamin E, which is pretty typical, I think, for a lot of vegans, unless you're eating a lot of oil, a lot of nuts, or sunflower seeds. It's crazy. Sunflower seeds are an insane source of vitamin E. Vitamin D, of course, got a little bit from the soy milk. And B12 got a little bit from the soy milk again. So yeah, again, this is why I like to take a multi every day, or at least every other day, because I do take like vitamin D and B12 in addition to my multi, since I don't take a multi every day because either I forget or, whatever. I don't tend to take one every single day, which is totally fine. I don't need a whole lot when it comes to really any nutrient. Again, like everything that I'm low on by like a few percentage points, So yeah, I like to take it just in case. And so I don't have to totally monitor what I'm eating, which is just like awful and not worth it, honestly. Just gives me peace of mind, I guess. And yeah, like I said, I take an extra D. I take the doctor's best vitamin D3, I think, because it's such an insane price. Like it's such a good price. It's definitely the cheapest thing on Amazon. I think Dava does have D2 that's cheap, and that should be totally fine for most people. But I figure now that we have a vegan D3, because I started taking it when I was pregnant with toddler, like just in case. And so ever since then, I just kept taking it. And like I said, I take extra B12, just whatever delicious, cheap vitamin they have at the store, the chewable stuff, because it's yummy. Oh, and DHA, and I take the Dava DHA, but there are lots of options now. Spectrum has a version, and does Nordic Naturals, I'm pretty sure they have one too. There are a lot of options now. It's pretty cool. A lot of vegan DHA options. There's this new, actually I don't know how new it is, but this supplement called Hippo 7 that's like geared specifically towards vegans. The 7 is the 7 nutrients that can be like of concern for vegans, nutrients that can be lacking or are definitely lacking on a vegan diet. So obviously B12, vitamin D, DHA, and then there's iron, zinc, iodine. So that's cool, but the marketing is definitely like, we use natural sources, it's not synthetic, which like, fine, if that makes you comfortable and will get you to supplement, cool. But I'm sure as shit not gonna pay $25 a month for 7 nutrients. No, I will buy my Dava multi, even though it tastes terrible, because it's like, what is it, $10 for 90 tablets for 90 servings, and has more stuff in it. It's got vitamin A and a bunch of other shit too. Like, yeah, I think I'll stick with that. So that's it in terms of food. Pretty delicious day. And then for exercise, I have no idea, because this was like a week ago. Oh my god, yes I do, because I've been keeping track. What am I talking about? I can actually go back and see, because I've been logging my workouts, which I have not done in years. I used to log every single workout. I have piles of, not really piles. I mean, I do have, well, I don't know if I do anymore, actually. I used to use, notebooks and write everything down. But yeah, I have like all my stuff on my computer. Workouts from 2015, 2016, 2012. Like, man, it's kind of fun. Okay, so I did Kathy Friedrich's PHA 2 workout from her new light series, low intensity. What the hell does it stand for? I have no idea, but basically it's supposed to be an intermediate workout series. She did one of those called ICE. That's intermediate conditioning extreme. I don't know, something like that. But she came out with that a few years ago, and that was pretty good. And then she came out with light just last year, I think. And it is great. And the PHA 2 workout is actually really hard, but I did increase the weights on like every single move. I used heavier than she did to make it a little bit more advanced, and oh my god, I was regretting it. It is really hard because you're moving so fast. Like, you definitely can't lift as heavy as you normally would on just a traditional, strength workout, because you are moving so fast. Basically, the idea is that you go from like a lower body to an upper body to a lower body to an upper body. She does 8 exercises, and then you repeat it again, and then you move on to another circuit, and there are 2 circuits total. And yeah, it's pretty rough. I was pretty tired. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe, support the channel. Patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. I might do a response to the Steven Crowder video. Several of you have asked me to talk about that. I have watched it, and I really love that there's like a transphobic joke just like right in the first 3 seconds, like right in the cold open. That's really great. I just love that. I love that there are like several jokes just making fun of, gay people. It's awesome. It's like, man, I don't watch that crap. Even seeing clips, it still feels like it's not real. and then to just watch, like to just go on YouTube and search Steven Crowder vegan or whatever and find the video and start watching it. And it's like, wow, this is just a video with like 1 million views that people love. Like so many people watch this and are just totally cool with it and totally entertained. I mean, the jokes alone, they're just lame, like, just like, here's a stereotype. Ha 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 ha. Isn't it funny? Like, wow, you're real clever. It's just old, like stuff that everyone's heard 1 million times. It's like that SNL guy. You're not pushing boundaries if you're telling jokes that everyone's heard 1 million times before and no one thinks is funny. And also, like, it kind of hurts some people's feelings. Like, wow, no, you're just an ass and lazy. You're just a lazy ass. Point is, I might do a response to that. There's a lot of stuff in it. A lot of the stuff I've already talked about before. It's frustrating even responding to stuff like this because they don't care and they just talk. There is some amount of preparation because he does refer to a couple, like he refers to the carrying capacity thing, right? And they show a little snippet of something from like The Guardian or whatever, so there is a bit of preparation, but mostly he's just throwing stuff out there, right? Even that, it's like carrying capacity was talked about and basically debunked in terms of it like not being a thing that we should be concerned about. Like as soon as that came out, right? As soon as that study came out. And I guarantee you he or whoever prepared any of this stuff doesn't even know that and doesn't even bother to look because their whole thing is just vegan bad and caring about the environment other than just saying, hey, I care about the environment, like actually wanting to do things or maybe even getting the government involved, bad, inherently bad. And so they're just going to look for any possible thing that's like, hey, look, vegan is actually bad. And it actually kills more animals, right? Like they're just going to go, yep. And they're not going to look to actually see if that's true or not. And there's a term for it, I think, but basically it takes me so much more time to go through their sources and to go through everything they say and explain why it's wrong than it does for them to make that like 12-minute video, however long it is, right? It's dumb and it's frustrating, but this is my job and at least I will make money making a video and talking about it, right? So I don't know. I can't really complain, can I? And obviously it will reach people and maybe reach people who are fans of Crowder and they'll go, hey, maybe this guy isn't as, logic over feels as I think. Maybe he is actually starting from a position of vegan bad and, conservatism good, change bad. And maybe that's not exactly reasonable or logical. And maybe I should rethink all of my shit and question the people I'm following because look, the reality is that we're all susceptible to bias, every single one of us. The people who say that they're not are the people you should be most concerned about. People who are not recognizing that they are subject to that, don't trust anything they say. Like, they're probably the worst of the worst. I don't know how I got onto that in a What I Ate Today, but maybe I'll do a response. I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this. Bye. So I might have run out of carrots and I'm too lazy to get more. So I'm just going to eat this with my fingers.